In this video, I will be going over lesson 2, which is about distribution. So hopefully we remember from last semester, we went over distribution a little bit, and distribution is where you take whatever number is outside of your parentheses and you multiply it to everything inside. Okay, so this A, we're going to take it and multiply it to everything inside. Okay, so here's an example. My number outside my parentheses is -9, which means I'm going to multiply everything inside by this -9. So when I do that, I have -9 times 2x, and then I'm going to have -9 minus -9 times 6. Okay, so -9 times 2 gives me -18. Don't forget your variable x. And again, if you wanted to type these into your calculator to double check your signs, that is 100% okay. My minus sign is going to be brought down. -9 times 6 is going to be -54. Okay, so this would be our final answer here. So remember, any number that is outside of your parentheses, you are multiplying it to every single thing inside of your parentheses. Here's our first question, and we want to know which expression is equivalent to 1/2 times 4m minus 2n plus 4. Now, yes, I'm multiplying in a fraction. However, there's kind of a little shortcut or trick. I combined shortcut and trick there. There's a shortcut whenever you see a fraction outside and I need to distribute it. So I'm going to show you what that is. Anytime you have a fraction and there is a 1 in the numerator, okay, so here I can see I have this 1 in my numerator. Essentially, all that you're doing is dividing everything else by my denominator. My denominator here is 2, which means I am going to divide every single term that I have here by 2. So essentially what I'm doing is 4 divided by 2, 2 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. Okay, 4 divided by 2 gives me 2m. 2 divided by 2 is just 1, n. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is my final answer here, which means this one is the one I want to pick. What you could also do here is, if you don't like this approach, that is okay. You can do what we know. Okay, so if I have this 1/2 4m minus 2n plus 4, okay, if I wanted to, I can type this into my calculator and just do 4 times 1/2, 2 times 1/2, and 4 times 1/2. Okay, so you can absolutely do it the other way. I just wanted to bring this way to your attention because some of you might think that this is a bit easier. If you like it, use it, great. If you do not, that's fine. We always know that as long as I'm taking the number outside and distributing it by multiplying it to every number inside, then we are on a good pace. Okay, next one. So we want to know, it says which expression is equivalent to, and we have our expression here. Okay, so it looks like we have to do a bit of distributing. So I have 5r plus 2/3s plus 3t, and then at the very end I have this 9s here. Okay, so when we're distributing, remember that we are only multiplying this 3 to everything that's inside of our parentheses. That 9s at the end is not in our parentheses, so it does not get multiplied. Okay, so I have 3 times 5, which gives me 15r. My next is terms to multiply are going to be this 3 times 2/3. Since I'm multiplying with fractions here, I want to type this into a calculator. First, to make it a bit easier for me, and second, to make sure I don't make any mistakes. So I have 3 times, I'm going to do 2/3 and hit enter. That tells me it is 2. So I have plus 2s. 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. And then I have this plus 9s at the end here. Okay, so from here, I see that I have a few terms I can simplify or that I can combine. Okay? I have this 9s and this 2s here. Since they have the same variable, I can add them together. So 2 plus 9 is going to give me 11, okay? Which means that my final answer has a 15R, an 11S, and a 9T. Okay? So since these are those like terms, I can combine them together. And then these other terms here, I didn't do anything with them. They didn't go away either, so that's why I just wrote them down. I brought everything down and made them all one nice happy expression. All right, next one says, which expressions are equivalent to 9x plus 2y minus 3z? On this one here, there's no real easy way to do it aside from distributing each one of these answers and seeing whether or not they give us an equivalent expression. However, more often than not, you only really need to multiply the first two terms, and that'll give us a pretty good indication of whether or not we can cross it off right away or whether or not we need to keep going. Okay, so let's look at our first one here. I have this 1/3 times 3. Okay, so I know I need to do 1/3 times 3. Let's type that in. So I have 1/3 and I'm multiplying it by 3. Well, that tells me it's going to give me a 1, right? So if I have a 1x here, is 1 the same thing as 9? Are 1 and 9 equivalent? Hopefully you're saying no, right? Because 1 is not the same as 9, which means this one here I automatically know cannot be correct. Let's look at our next one. Okay, I have a -3 times -3. Negative times a negative is going to give me positive 9. Okay, so that looks good. My next one is going to be -3 times a -2/3. Now again, you can type this into our calculator. When you do that, you will get a positive 2. Then I have -3 times z, which is going to give me a -3z. So this one, B, works. All right, here, I'm going to use that trick because I have a 1/3 out here. A 1 is in my numerator, which means I am dividing all of these terms by my denominator, which is 3. So I'm going to divide all of these by 3. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So C here also works. All right, let's look at this next one here. I have 9 times x. That is going to be 9x. I have 9 times 2/9y. Again, you can type this into your calculator. When you type it in, you will get 2y. And then I have 9 times my -1/3. Again, type this into your calculator to double check your work. When you do that, you will get -3. So that one also works. So far we have 3 that are correct. If I look at this bottom one though, I can kind of see right off the bat that this bottom one is not going to be equivalent because if I take a -3 and I multiply it to a +3, that's going to give me -9x. And a -9 is not the same as a +9. So this bottom one is not equivalent. All right, this one here looks a little bit tricky, but if we take a second to kind of step back and only really look at the parts that we need to solve this problem, it's really not that bad as you might think. So it's just to use the equation to answer the question. So we have this 12a plus 9b, and that's equal to k, a variable, times 2a plus 3/2b. And we want to know which value of k makes this equation true. So essentially what I'm looking to do is I need to figure out which one of these numbers here should I put in for k so that when I distribute that number, I am left with a 12 and a 9. Okay? Well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to cover up these variables with b's, because we don't necessarily need those in order to figure out our answer. And I'm going to pull just the a's down to hopefully make this a little bit easier for you to see. Okay? So remember, with distribution, we're taking the number outside and we're going to be multiplying it to everything inside, right? So if I have some number times 2, it needs to give me 12. So what number times 2 do you think gives me 12? Remember, so I have some number times 2 has to give me 12. Hopefully you're thinking 6. 6 times 2 gives me 12. And if I were to take 6 and multiply it to that fraction, that 3 over 2, it would also give me 9. However, looking at it from the fraction perspective, it's a bit trickier because of that fraction. And here I know that if I am able to get that 12a, my answer is correct. So 6 times that 2 is going to give me 12a. All right, next, we want to know which of the following equations has an error in one of the operations. So which answer would correct the error? Okay, so it looks like we kind of have to go through here and figure out where's the mistake that's being made. Okay, so if I have this 2 up here and I'm distributing it to everything inside these parentheses, I would have a 2x minus 8y, okay? And then I have this plus 3y here, okay? And when I'm looking at my other side of my equation, one thing that's popping out to me is the 2x is fine, right? Nothing is wrong with the 2x here. However, I'm going to rewrite this over here. Something looks funny here, because if I have a negative 8 and I'm adding it to 3y, that does not give me this 11y that I need to have. However, if I could somehow make this 8y be positive, these two numbers, when I add them together and they're both positive, do give me that 11y. So if I'm looking over here and I'm saying, well, I need this 8y to be positive, if I look right above it in my original expression, there's this minus sign here. And if I change this minus sign to a plus sign, that would make this 8y have a positive sign. So to correct, the error that we need to correct is to change this x minus 4y to this x plus 4y. So that is the error that we should change. All right, I believe this is the last question. So it says, which of the following blanks indicate a missing operation in the equations? Oh, sorry, it says the following blank indicates it. And we want to know which one makes it true. And we either need to do a plus sign or a minus sign. Okay, so let's see. Looking at this, it looks like we need to distribute this first and then simplify it all. Okay. So again, I'm going to take this 5 and I'm going to multiply it to everything inside here. When I do that, I get 5 over 2q plus 15r minus 20s. Don't forget this minus 9r at the end. My like terms I can combine are this 15r and this 9r. So I have 5 over 2q. 15 minus 9 is going to give me 6r. And I have minus 20. So if I look, this tells me I have 5 over 2q, a blank, 6r minus 20s. So if I look over here, what I have in front of my 6r is a plus sign, which means I need to put a plus sign. So for this question, the only thing you need to write in that answer blank is literally just a plus, like that. That's the only thing you're putting in it. And then you can hit submit. So the plus sign there is what we are missing. And that is the last question for lesson 2. If you would like any extra help or have other questions for me, please let me know.